I will give you a really good shot. I just want to get my little chair. Now you get to see real behind the scenes at the White House.
Exactly.
Are you here? Yes, you are, and we're certainly happy that you made it. We're thankful for you. Happy Thanksgiving, and welcome to the Thanksgiving special of the Paul Leslie Hour. You know, that place where people tell it like it is. Joining us today from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House, is independent journalist Corinne Cliford. Now, Corinne Cliford is in the White House press corps, and her reportage is a refreshing alternative to the legacy media. I'm sure Paul's ready to talk turkey with Corinne, so let's waddle. Stroll. Roll right into it. Happy Thanksgiving, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are so pleased to be joined by Corinne Clifford, and you'll see her handle on X down below. Don't forget, that's 2 N's in Corinne, 1 F in Clifford, and she is an independent journalist, part of the White House press corps, and a refreshing voice, I might add. That lovely pink blazer you have on. Corinne, thanks for joining us.
I am so grateful to be with you, Paul, because you are real. And the stuff I want to talk about today is honestly the most banned and censored news. So I think that it's super important to have programs like yours where we can really give you the banned and censored news and like behind the scenes and what's really going on at the White House in Washington, D.C. right now today. It's November 25th, 2025.
Right. And so it's been a little bit of a different day. There's been a lot of headlines about Gobble and Waddle, 2 individuals who were pardoned.
Yes. So gobble and waddle, it's a White House tradition since Reagan, probably before Reagan, to pardon these 2 particular turkeys and the day before Thanksgiving. And basically they stay at a super expensive hotel called the Willard Hotel. And they have a lot of fun. They each get their own bed and they have handlers. And then they come to the White House and the president pardons them and then they get to go live on a farm somewhere. We never really know what happens to them in the future. We're not going to know if they survive in the future, but I met both of them. The press secretary had her son on the stage in the press briefing room right behind me. They had a little like gobble wobble. He made the turkey cry. It was really funny. Personally, I like game meat. I like elk. I like caribou. I like antelope. But I do love white turkey meat, and so I kind of did want to eat the turkeys. But I mean, they were treated totally humane, better than most White House guests because they get to stay at a $600 a night hotel. And, I filmed them. I put it on my X account at Corinne Clifford. I filmed them, leaving safely just to make sure that, there was no lie about what's happening to them. But if you can see what's going on at the White House, we are in a mini rainstorm. President Trump is supposed to be leaving right now on Marine One. I'll try to show it to you. But I mean, I think the weather is so bad, he shouldn't be going on Marine One. He should be actually driving. So I'm just trying to keep you updated on that. But as of today, all the mainstream media will be evacuating the White House. And the most banned and censored news is that while we're on the verge of war with Venezuela, with Japan, potentially Ukraine and Russia, China could attack Japan. Anything could happen in Venezuela. All these different wars could happen. I made the choice to stay in Washington, D.C. for Thanksgiving because I like to be here when the mainstream media is not here, just in case something happens. President Trump, of course, is going to be at Mar-a-Lago celebrating Thanksgiving. But the most banned and censored news, which I'm trying to get to you, is that there are 12 January 6th political prisoners that still need to get the official presidential pardon. And I can list their names. I really want to talk about it because it's really time that all the J6 political prisoners receive the pardon because many of these 12 are members of the military, they're veterans, and they really need their benefits, especially after you've been charged with seditious conspiracy and other fake charges, after you have unfair trials where judges do not allow your testimony, they don't allow your witnesses, they didn't allow your videos. These 12 J6ers should be pardoned. So I want to give you their names just because I think we should say their names. I think that everyone should write to President Trump at the White House. It's so easy. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. And say, please, President Trump, pardon the last 12 J6ers. Of course, all 12 of these people are so grateful, Paul, that they are no longer in prisons and jails throughout the United States of America. Many of these people were facing up to 18, 24 years in federal prison for seditious conspiracy and everything that they did not do on January 6, 2021 at the U.S. Capitol. But we really do need American patriots out there to write letters to President Trump's White House to say it's time to pardon the remaining 12. They're not in prisons or jails. Their sentences were commuted. But, they still need to receive the official pardon so they can try to get their lives back. Now, you're going to see all this commotion going on behind me because Marine One is going to try to land right over there. If it lands, I'll try to show it to you and pick up President Trump. Personally, I think President Trump should not be flying in a helicopter in this rainstorm that I'm standing in right now, but they're going to try to let him. So I'm just going to give you the 12 really fast, okay? Stuart Rhodes, okay? He's the founder of the Oath Keepers. He's a personal friend of mine. He's such a sweet guy. He didn't do anything on January 6th. He should not be thrown in any prison or jail, and he should be fully pardoned by President Trump. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, has been pardoned by President Trump. I think that's because his mother really established a relationship with a lot of Trump supporters at Mar-a-Lago while her son was in prison. So Enrique, the leader of the Proud Boys, the chairman of the Proud Boys, has been pardoned, but Stuart Rhodes, the leader of the Oath Keepers, has not been pardoned. Both of them were charged with seditious conspiracy. I covered both their trials. There was no evidence to charge them with seditious conspiracy. It was the craziest experience of my life to cover these trials, but it really made me wake up and realize that what this does matter, that what happens with the federal government can affect your life. So these 12 were set up. The first is Stuart Rhodes. The next is Kelly Meggs. The third is Kenneth Harrelson. He's wonderful. The fourth is Jessica Watkins. The fifth is Roberto Minuta. The sixth is Ethan Nordine. The seventh is Joseph Biggs. 8 is Joe Hackett. 9 is David Morshall. 10 is Zach Reel. 11 is Edward Vallejo. And 12 is Dominic Pozzolo. Listen, these are really kind people. I've met most all of them. I would take a bullet for them. They would take a bullet for you. They've been loyal to President Trump. They haven't complained. It's been a year. They deserve the official pardon. And then we have one more serious situation. We have a U.S. Capitol police officer, a D.C. police officer who is in prison in Maryland right now because he tipped off Enrique Tarrio. His name is Shane Lamont. He's in prison for the next 1 year because he tipped off Enrique Tarrio that Enrique would probably get arrested because Enrique was arrested the day before January 6th. And so he tipped him off to that just because Enrique had a lot of friends in the police departments in Washington, D.C. This Shane Lamont should not be in prison or jail. So on this official day where the president is pardoning 2 turkeys, I want him to pardon American patriots.
And thank you so much for reading their names one by one. Now, it's important that we have these independent voices out there reporting on the front lines like you're doing. What do you think are the challenges as an independent journalist there at the White House and in D.C.?
My biggest challenge, honestly, is CNN. My biggest challenge is the fact that, CNN already has office space all over. I kind of want to show it to you. I might move the camera around and show you what's going on here, but all the mainstream media, they get to have these tents with like millions of dollars of cameras. They get lighting, they get cameramen, they get everything. I'll try to show it to you. It's really interesting. This is called Pebble Beach, and this is where all the press is. I'll show it to you. So behind me is all the official mainstream media. Well, independent journalists like me, I can't afford to pay for those tents. Those tents are $100,000. They're filled with millions of dollars of lighting and cameras and equipment. I'm standing in the rain with my umbrella right now. I don't get to use those tents. And then what the problem is that all the mainstream media that takes all those tents, all the mainstream legacy media that gets government grants to fund their stuff, they all take the downstairs of the press briefing room. I can show that to you too. But what they've been doing lately is they've been throwing all of their equipment on each side of the tiny press briefing room that only has 55 seats, which they already dominate. So I don't even have a place to stand or be in the press briefing room, which is right over here. It's the James S. Brady press briefing room. It's right along the side of the wall right there. Of course, that's the White House. Now we're going to see if Marine One, the helicopter, comes in to pick President Trump up because he and the First Lady are going to Mar-a-Lago. They're going to Palm Beach County, Florida. I was just there for the last 7 days covering a lot of news out there. But the bottom line is that I want the lighting. I want the camera crews. And guess what? I could go with President Trump to Mar-a-Lago. I could go on Air Force One, but the ticket's like $10,000+ because you have to pay for your food, you have to pay for the flight, you have to pay for your hotel. So I am in the White House and I am grateful to be an independent journalist. No one can fire me. No one can censor me. But the bottom line is that it is expensive for me to actually be able to be allowed the same access that mainstream media has. And I can't afford it right now. So that is my biggest whoa right now. I'm not trying to complain, but you asked me the question, what are the
Right.
problems? And the problems are that mainstream media can afford to go on Air Force One. I can't. Mainstream media can afford to have lighting crews, camera crews, the tents behind me so that they can have everything perfect. I can't afford that. So that's a big issue. See, you can see the cars behind me. I'm trying to see if President Trump's going to go by car or helicopter. It's just always interesting here. So I love showing you, what's really going on right now.
And we thank you for that. Now, Corinne, can you tell us what about the staff at the White House and in the press room there? What do you find them to be like to work with?
You mean the staff for the Trump administration for the press? They are the most wonderful people, but they do care about my views. So my views do matter. Now, listen, it's really important to understand that I'm one of honestly the most banned and censored women in American history at this time. I just got banned on Instagram for 7 weeks for no reason. I had to have one of my killer lawyers write Instagram a letter. I get, 5 million views plus on Instagram, but then on X, I'm getting shadow banned just like so many other people. Just in the last couple hours, I lost 100 followers on X, which is not even possible. I think what's going on is that inside these media companies, these social media companies, which are really publishers, so this shouldn't be happening, there are liberals who work inside and I'm on some type of hit list. So whenever they can, they try to ban and censor me. So I do get banned and censored. Only Rumble doesn't censor me, but a lot of people haven't caught on to Rumble yet. I'm going to go back onto YouTube. But the bottom line is it's really important for me to keep my numbers up, to keep my press pass at the White House, to keep my press pass into Senate, to keep my press pass into the HHS. Right now, the Pentagon is not giving me the press pass because they say my numbers are not high enough. It's because I'm shadow banned. I'm banned. I can get 5 to 20 million views per month when I'm not banned or shadow banned. And now I'm doing tons of shows like yours because I have Sat123 backing me up. So I want everyone who's watching and listening to right now take the time to go to Sat123 and buy the emergency gear that you may need in case something happens. I'm at the White House right now, but I've got my bulletproof backpack from Sat123 with my satellite phone, with my Faraday bags, with everything I need in case an emergency happens and I have to evacuate fast. I think it's so important for everyone to go to SAT 123 right now. And honestly, these make the greatest Christmas gifts. Christmas is coming in 3 weeks. I want everyone to buy whatever they can afford to buy at sat123.com because that's really who sponsors the journalism that I do. And it's super important that you have independent journalists like me. A lot of people that are supposed to be on our side are turning on President Trump right now over the Marjorie Taylor Greene issue. And I think it's really important that we don't turn on President Trump. I think it's really important that we show unity. President Trump is the reason that Jeffrey Epstein got arrested. No one would arrest Jeffrey Epstein. President Trump put his foot down in Palm Beach County, Florida, and finally Jeffrey Epstein got arrested because President Trump forced it to happen. But people were complaining, family members, victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, I hate saying her name, it's so hard to pronounce, but people were reporting them since 1998, 1999 in Los Angeles, in New York City, in Palm Beach, in New Mexico, in Colorado, where he had estates. Nobody was arresting him until President Trump put his foot down to make sure Jeffrey Epstein got arrested. So I think it's important to have independent journalists like me really give you the real boots on the ground, heels on the ground news. I've just given you so much banned and censored news, and I'm giving you a behind the scenes of the White House. So I think it's important.
Definitely important. Now, I could understand if you said no comment to this, but what do you make of this whole situation with Marjorie Taylor Greene? What do you think about it?
I think that she's going to try to run for president. And I think that she is doing, I don't think she should be quitting in the middle of this. I don't like quitters. I think she should continue on down the road, but I think she's siding a little too much with Democrats. Now, listen, I've been in Washington, D.C. since 2021. She does a lot of publicity stunts. I really like her boyfriend. He's here at the White House. He's super nice. He asks a lot of questions. He's super nice. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, pretended like she helped the J6ers, and she really didn't do very much for them. So behind the scenes, I'm not that impressed by her. I'm really not impressed by anyone in Congress, honestly. I've never really seen a congressman who actually did what he said he was going to do. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin did a lot. I saw him do a lot, and I'm really proud of him. But honestly, most of these people in Congress, 98% of them are corrupt. And it's really dangerous because they get their money from places they shouldn't be getting money from. And then they do these publicity stunts and they say they're helping, but they're really doing nothing. The number one most important thing to do, which I've been talking about since I started covering the J6 federal court trials in March of 2022, when the first one for Guy Ruffett started. Guy Ruffett was the first J6er who went through a court trial in U.S. federal court just right down the street from the White House. We've got to start impeaching these judges. The judges are the problem. I didn't have the words to explain it in 2022. I was so banned and censored. I wish I had done your show back then, but we've got to impeach the judges, not just James Boasberg. He's the nicest one. It's Reggie Walton who said in front of me in April 2022, if you support Trump, you belong in prison. And then he threw a J6er, Justin Thompson, into prison without even giving him 90 days to go to his sentencing. So the bottom line is that there are judges in U.S. federal court that need to be impeached. That's the most important thing that needs to happen right now. That is such banned and censored news that no one talks about because I was in federal court from what? March 2022 till January 2025, covering all these stories with Ashley Babbitt's mom. She was there. Tammy Jackson was there. Nicole Ruffett was there. No one is asking us to testify against these judges. I have so many notes to prove how evil and corrupt these federal court judges that are activist judges are. And that's why President Trump cannot get his agenda accomplished because these judges are blocking him all across America.
Corinne, what would you say is the greater purpose to the work that you do, aside from touching on and covering these up-to-the-minute developments? What guides you?
I really feel like I was a very selfish person most of my life. I was raised in Beverly Hills, and I spent a lot of time in Aspen, Colorado. And one of my best friends in Aspen was the sheriff of Aspen. And, he's dead. He died last year of the vaccine. His name was Sheriff Bob Broaddus. He was the sheriff of Aspen, Colorado for 26 years. And he taught me everything I know. And our best friend was Anita Thompson, the widow of Hunter Thompson. And Hunter, if you know, he is the founder of Gonzo Journalism. Gonzo Journalism is where you add yourself to the story to really give people the passion about news that I have, because I add myself to the story a lot just because I really want people to really care about news. Most people don't care about news. I want them to care about the news because it does affect you. And so in 2020, in March 2020, when everything was closed because of COVID-19, I left Aspen, Colorado. I left Beverly Hills and I said, I'm moving to Washington, D.C. to stand up for us because everything that I had planned to do was canceled by Dr. Fauci and everything I love was endangered. So it really woke me up. The COVID-19 closures woke me up. And then, of course, in Washington, D.C., I gave my life to Jesus Christ. So every day I say I'm going to retire. I have no more news. I have so much news today. I have more news today than I did yesterday. So every day I say I'm going to retire and I think I have no news and I just have massive amounts of news every single day. And so it's really, I've been so selfish. I want to try not to be selfish. And I want people to really care about what happens in their county and in their state and in their city and in their town, because it does affect you. And you'll realize that as you get older. I'm getting older and I'm realizing it's really time to take a stand for America first. The most important thing we have to do before the 2026 midterms, we have to go to paper ballots and hand count the vote. I interviewed a man in Arkansas, Colonel Reynolds, who actually is getting threatened by the current governor, Sarah Huckabee of Arkansas, because he's trying to get 2 counties in Arkansas to go to paper ballots. And so there's a lot of pushback on that. But President Trump can only control the federal level. He can't control the states. And that's why everyone needs to activate in their county, in their state, before the 2026 midterms to make sure that we don't lose. And that's another reason why I think Marjorie Taylor Greene may have chosen to quit. A lot of people are saying that we're going to lose. Steve Bannon just today said that we're probably going to lose the 2026 midterms. Jesus Christ is in charge. I think we all need to work together and pray and be on the same team. No one should be quitting, and we should all be working together to make sure we win the 2026 midterms with fair elections, which is hand count the vote, paper ballots, and voting within 72 hours, with people like you and me being allowed to observe the vote and observe the audit of the vote. And you should get a receipt for who you vote for.
Well, Corinne, thank you so much for your reportage, and thank you for making time to talk to me. Wishing you a happy Thanksgiving, and everyone, be sure and follow Corinne Cliford on X, a much recommended follow. I'm following her, and you should too. So, Corinne, thank you so much.
God bless you, Paul. Have a beautiful day.
God bless you.
The Paul Leslie Hour is made possible by people like you, listeners, viewers. Please go to thepaulleslie.com/support, and you'll know what to do when you're there. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who contributes. Performance of The Entertainer intro song by John Primorano. And of course, this is your announcer speaking. See you next time on the Paul Leslie.
And if you're a Marine One in the background, I can't believe President Trump is flying in this weather.